The Golden State Warriors almost never drafted Stephen Curry. The Chicago Bulls got Michael Jordan because another team passed on him. And one injury-riddled season accidentally created the Spurs dynasty. Looking back, these moments feel inevitable. But at the time, they looked like ordinary front office decisions. A draft pick, a trade, a coaching hire. Yet those choices didn't just win championships, they changed the future of entire franchises. So today, we're counting down 7 decisions that completely transformed NBA teams forever. This isn't a list of the greatest players in NBA history. It's a list of the moments that changed a franchise's future. Some teams found a generational superstar. Others took a huge risk when no one else would. And one team simply hired the right coach at exactly the right time. Let's start with the decision that turned a talented roster into one of basketball's greatest dynasties, hiring Steve Kerr, 2014.
Well, we connected.
Okay.
This is NBA coaching we're talking about.
Okay, congratulations,
Thanks.
Steve.
Good luck.
All right.
By 2014, the Warriors had the talent. Stephen Curry was becoming a star. Klay Thompson was one of the league's best young shooters. Draymond Green was ready for a bigger role. But despite all that, Golden State couldn't get past the early rounds of the playoffs. So after another first-round exit, the Warriors made a controversial move. They fired head coach Mark Jackson and hired Steve Kerr, a coach who had never led an NBA team before. It sounded like a gamble. Instead, it unlocked everything. Kerr built an offense around constant ball movement, spacing, and Curry's incredible shooting. In his very first season, the Warriors won 67 games and captured the 2015 NBA championship. Over the next 8 years, they reached 6 NBA finals and won 4 titles. The roster didn't suddenly become great. The system finally matched the talent. Sometimes, the most important player in a franchise isn't a player at all. It's the coach. But while Golden State changed its future with one hire, Boston changed theirs with one blockbuster trade. Trading for Kevin Garnett, 2007.
Boston Celtics pulled off a blockbuster trade acquiring Kevin Garnett from the Minnesota Timberwolves.
For years, the Celtics were living off their history. They were one of the NBA's most successful franchises, but their last championship had come back in 1986. Paul Pierce was a star, but one star wasn't enough. So in the summer of 2007, Boston went all in. After adding Ray Allen, they completed an even bigger move, trading for Kevin Garnett. It was a massive risk. The Celtics gave up young talent and future assets for a veteran who had never reached the NBA Finals. But the gamble paid off immediately. Garnett transformed Boston's defense and leadership. Alongside Pierce and Allen, he formed the legendary Big Three. 1 year after winning just 24 games, the Celtics won 66. Then they defeated the Lakers to capture the 2008 NBA championship. That trade didn't just revive Boston, it changed how teams built contenders. Soon, franchises across the league started chasing their own version of a super team. But our next story is different, because this franchise didn't change its future with a trade. It changed its future by surviving one terrible season, winning the Tim Duncan lottery, 1997.
The San Antonio Spurs select Tim Duncan from Wake Forest University.
The Spurs weren't supposed to be bad. Just 1 year earlier, they had won 59 games. Then injuries hit. David Robinson missed most of the season. Other key players went down, and San Antonio crashed to just 20 wins. For most teams, that's a disaster. For the Spurs, it was the beginning of a dynasty. They won the 1997 NBA draft lottery and selected Tim Duncan with the first overall pick. Duncan wasn't flashy. He didn't chase headlines. He just won. Within 2 seasons, San Antonio had an NBA championship. Over the next 2 decades, the Spurs became the model of consistency, winning 5 championships and making the playoffs year after year. One injury-filled season changed everything. And while Duncan became exactly what scouts expected, our next story is about a teenager who carried the hopes of an entire city before he ever stepped onto an NBA court, drafting LeBron James, 2003.
Cleveland Cavaliers select LeBron James.
In 2003, the Cleveland Cavaliers weren't just losing games, they were losing hope. After finishing 17 to 65, they won the NBA draft lottery and earned the first overall pick. Waiting for them was an 18-year-old from nearby Akron, LeBron James. Long before he played his first NBA game, he was already one of the most hyped prospects in sports history. The pressure was unbelievable, but LeBron delivered immediately. He won Rookie of the Year, turned the Cavaliers into must-watch television, and gave Cleveland something it hadn't had in years: belief. Just 4 seasons later, he led the franchise to its first-ever NBA Finals. Then came the heartbreak. In 2010, LeBron left for Miami, and Cleveland's record collapsed almost overnight. It proved just how much one player meant to an entire organization. But the story wasn't over. When LeBron returned in 2014, he came with one mission: bring a championship home. In 2016, after overcoming a 3-1 deficit against the 73-win Warriors, he delivered Cleveland's first NBA title. One draft pick didn't just change a franchise, it gave an entire city its greatest sports moment. But while LeBron was expected to become a superstar, the next player wasn't even drafted by the team he became famous for. Trading for Kobe Bryant, 1996.
The Charlotte Hornets select Kobe Bryant from Lower Merion High School in Pennsylvania.
The Lakers didn't draft Kobe Bryant, at least not officially. In the 1996 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets selected Kobe with the 13th overall pick. But before he ever played an NBA game, his draft rights were traded to Los Angeles for veteran center Vlade Divac. At the time, it barely made headlines. Kobe was only 17 years old. Many teams thought he was too young and too risky. But Lakers executive Jerry West believed he was looking at a future superstar. He was right. Kobe struggled early, coming off the bench and learning the NBA the hard way. But his relentless work ethic turned potential into greatness. Alongside Shaquille O'Neal, he helped the Lakers win 3 straight championships. Then, after Shaq left, Kobe proved he could lead on his own by winning 2 more titles in 2009 and 2010. For 20 years, he became the face of the Lakers. A franchise built on legends found its next one through a single draft night trade. But even Kobe's story isn't the biggest draft night turning point in NBA history, because the next decision created not just a champion, but a global icon. Drafting Michael Jordan, 1984.
The Chicago Bulls pick Michael Jordan.
It's one of the most famous what-ifs in sports history. What if Portland had drafted Michael Jordan? In 1984, the Houston Rockets selected Hakeem Olajuwon with the first overall pick. Then Portland, needing a center, chose Sam Bowie. That left the Chicago Bulls with the 3rd pick. They selected Michael Jordan. The rest is history. Jordan transformed the Bulls almost overnight. He filled arenas, inspired a generation of fans, and eventually led Chicago to 6 NBA championships in the 1990s. But his impact went far beyond winning. Before Jordan, the Bulls were just another NBA franchise. After Jordan, they became one of the most recognizable sports brands in the world. Even today, people who have never watched an NBA game still recognize the Bulls logo. That's the power of one draft pick. And somehow, it's still not number 1. Because our final decision didn't just change one franchise. It changed the way basketball itself is played. Drafting Stephen Curry, 2009.
The Golden State Warriors select Stephen Curry from Davidson College.
Every decision on this list changed one franchise. This one changed the entire NBA. When the Warriors entered the 2009 NBA draft, they weren't a powerhouse. They hadn't won a championship since 1975 and had spent decades stuck between rebuilding and mediocrity. With the 7th overall pick, Golden State selected a skinny guard from Davidson College, Stephen Curry. At the time, it didn't feel like a franchise-defining moment. Several scouts questioned whether Curry was athletic enough, strong enough, or durable enough to become a superstar. Those concerns seemed justified when ankle injuries slowed the start of his career. Many teams would have started looking for another star. The Warriors did the opposite. They trusted him. That patience changed everything. As Curry got healthy, his shooting began to redefine what was possible on a basketball court. Suddenly, shots from well beyond the three-point line weren't desperation attempts. They became one of the most dangerous weapons in the game. Then, Steve Kerr arrived in 2014, and everything clicked. The Warriors built an offense around movement, spacing, and Curry's unique ability to stretch a defense the moment he crossed half court. The results were historic. 4 NBA championships, 6 finals appearances in 8 seasons, a record-breaking 73-win season, and the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. But championships aren't why this decision ranks first. Look around today's NBA. Every team values shooting more than ever. Big men are expected to shoot threes. Young players practice deep-range shots before they master mid-range jumpers. An entire generation grew up trying to shoot like Steph. Very few athletes can honestly say they changed how their sport is played. Stephen Curry did, and it all started with one draft pick. Think about every decision we've covered today. The Warriors hired the right coach. Boston took a massive gamble on Kevin Garnett. The Spurs turned one injury-filled season into a dynasty. Cleveland found hope in a hometown kid. The Lakers saw greatness before almost everyone else. Chicago drafted the player who became basketball's biggest icon. Different teams, different eras, different decisions, but they all prove the same thing. Dynasties don't begin when a team wins a championship. They begin the moment someone believes in a decision that everyone else overlooks. The next franchise-changing move could happen in the next draft, the next trade, or even the next coaching hire. The only question is, will we recognize it when it happens? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, which NBA decision do you think changed a franchise the most? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.